what you're saying is that in the European Union, they kind of have to show that something is safe.
Right.
Whereas here, you have to prove that something is harmful.
Exactly.
Which is a completely different threshold. If I can continue using a substance until it's proved harmful, what length of exposure might I have, or might my neighbors or my country have? And then, oh, I'm sorry, that's harmful, we can't use it anymore.
Right.
But to prove it's safe is a whole different threshold, and I think a much better way to go.
The other thing that I've come to realize is that, with food, we have the FDA. We have some standards that food is held to be healthy, and if there's a problem, it's called off the shelf. But with personal care products, there is no overview.
Wow.
There's no overview. There's no organization that's requiring them or holding them to any quality or any safety standards.
So I could put whatever I wanted to.
You can put whatever you wish, and they're just required to be self-regulating, and
to police themselves.
And I think
that's effective.
Part of the reason for that, I believe, has been is that as time has gone along, we haven't really thought that what we put on our skin is the same as what we put in our mouths, as having a significant health impact. And I think only more recently, people are really becoming aware of, my lipstick, my shampoo, my deodorant, all those things have chemicals that can really have an impact on my health.
For instance, Cheryl, they have a standard for food on lead. How many parts per million of lead you can have in food. And of course it's very, very low. You have a standard for water as well. There's no standard for lipstick. And one of the lipsticks, a common brand, recently tested, had 650 times as much lead as is allowable in candy. Now, we'd be in real trouble if, you found a company that was allowing 650 times as much lead.
Right.
And they said, well, but it's on your lips, it's in your lipstick.
But you're licking your lips.
Yeah, but you're licking your lips, and
food,
even if you weren't licking your lips, it's absorbed through your skin. So it's very important that we think more clear-headedly about what we're doing with what we put on our skin.
Well, that's fascinating, lead in particular, when you think about the decades of research that has gone into the negative effects of that. We know it, and yet this is being used in products on the lips of women every single day, multiple times a day.
Right. Somehow, particularly the red lipsticks have really been shown to have a problem. Now, some manufacturers are pulling the lead out, and other manufacturers are lobbying really hard. They don't want to be bothered.
Right.
It's a hard time to do business here as well as anywhere in the world. We have an economic downturn. Every company is trying to save money.
Right.
And I understand that. But I think as consumers, we need to be really upfront in telling the companies, the products we value, that we value our health.
Right.
And we ask them to remove products when we find that, if they have a product that is unhealthful, that we write to our congressmen, we ask our representatives to vote for, control of our products, and also to work with the companies that make our products and tell them this matters to us. Now, what many of these companies will tell you that the problems, the toxins, if you will, are present in such small amounts that they don't think that there'll ever be a problem.
But over time and repeated use.
And that is the problem. Very recently, even in baby shampoos and several other baby products, it's been on the news that they're found that they have significant amounts of toxins in them.
Wow.
And you wouldn't think, well, shampoo or powder or lotion, it's going to be a problem because it's such a small amount.
Right.
But think of when we had our babies. Baths are frequent and lotion is frequent, and so you have an accumulation of toxins that people are realizing is a larger and larger problem.
So how do you know if a product has something distasteful in it?
Right, that is the bottom line. You know, when I'm going to the store, how am I going to know? And Tim and I, you know, I went to the 2 health food stores last night, which were very kind in our communities, and they both, Morning Glory and Rural River, and they both loaned me for the day, you know, it's a bag full of products. And so I carefully looked at the different ones and picked out. But when I came home and ran them through a database, which would told me, and I'll explain that to you, half of them I had to leave at home.
She chose the best one she could find, read the labels, looked at everything that said natural and organic and,
right.
you know, this is good for you kind of things. And yet, as we've checked it with the database, 50% of it, or actually more than 50%, had levels of toxins that were higher than they needed to be to provide the benefit to our skin that you can get in other products.
Wow.
And that's, you know, that's the question. I think, you know, we all have products, you know, whether it's for our hair, for our skin, our toothpaste.
And especially we as women, we're putting stuff on all the time.
Yes, and so we have qualities that we want.
Right.
You know, I have curly hair, so I look for something that's not going to make it heavier, what have you. So we have qualities we want. And so I think the important thing is to start reading labels and try and come down, down, down with the toxic level as low as we can.
Half that stuff I can't even pronounce.
I
don't know what it is.
I know. And I think, I'll tell you now, the kind of one gold standard of doing research on what you have in your bathroom cupboard is a database called the Skin Deep database. SKINDEEP database. And what this does is when you can Google it and go online, and you can, you know, I did this. I had some lotions that I thought were fantastic, very natural, very healthy. I typed it in, and it turned out that they were highly toxic. And I had been using
highly
them
toxic, let's just stop here a minute. You can put it on your skin. You won't get a reaction unless you're allergic to it. You can use it for years, and it seems safe. But if it has parabens in it, if it has sodium lauryl sulfate in it, there's some real questions now about what's the effect on hormonal cancers, breast cancers. They've done studies where they've taken blood from the umbilical cords of just newborn babies and found some of these chemicals in them from facial cleansers and things that their mothers used when the babies were in utero. And these have affected, phthalates is another one that we hear a lot about. Your risk for in baby boys for hypospadias, deformities of the genitalia, is much higher with higher exposures of some of these chemicals. So much higher, well, still very low, but we can eliminate them.
Right.
And then the risk does drop. And isn't it better to avoid them until we know for sure, rather than saying, I'm going to continue taking my maybe poisons until they're proven harmful?
Right.
When we know there's already problems with them at certain levels.